Hello everyone, welcome back to the Fantasy Fanbase if you are returning, and welcome to the Fantasy Fanbase if you are new. My name is Troy, and today we are tackling a beast. Well, really we're just going to tackle the first book of Percy Jackson today. I thought it would be a good idea to maybe reread this series and see how it goes. I read this series when I was in middle school, and I did not enjoy it too much, so I thought it would be an interesting idea if I reread the series as a 19-year-old adult. This video is going to be a reading vlog of my experience reading the first book of Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the Lightning Thief, and giving you all my opinion on this book as an adult. Let's see if I like this book more than I did the first time. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe down to our channel for more fantasy content, and comment down below your opinions on Percy Jackson, the Lightning Thief. But without further ado, let's go and start this book. Alrighty, we are back with the first chunk of reading done. I'm currently on page 107. I finished the first 7 chapters of Percy Jackson. I think going into it with a more optimistic mindset is definitely helping me enjoy this book more. I think it's just been such a joy, so funny. I am someone who loved the Magnus Chase series by Rick Riordan because of the mythology, and I'm loving how the mythology is reading through this book so far. I also think that Percy Jackson is just truly a funny kid. I love to see sort of his thoughts come through the page and really jump out. Some initial thoughts that kind of jumped out to me is that this book has some pretty advanced vocab. I mean, in the first chapter, the word kleptomaniac can be seen, which I don't think a 12-year-old would understand what that is. There's also references to alcohol, so that's something I'm going to continue to monitor throughout this book. I also think this is so similar to the start of the Keeper of the Lost City series by Shannon Messenger. They both start off on a museum field trip, and they both kind of have this sort of danger that happens on this field trip that ends up driving them into their new respective worlds, whether that be the Keeper of the Lost City's world or the Percy Jackson, the Olympians, the gods world. But yeah, overall, I'm really enjoying it. I'll let you know my thoughts when I read the next chunk. Alrighty, we are officially over halfway through Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, my reread. I am at page 197, and there's about 375 pages in this first book, and I am really enjoying the fast-paced action that we're getting from this middle chunk of the book. We are getting lots of monster fights, lots of good content here, lots of questions. Who's going to be betraying Percy? How are Percy and Annabeth and Grover going to get to Los Angeles and find the entrance to the underworld? And what more challenges will they face on their way down? I'm loving this reread. It's really giving me sentimental vibes, and the nostalgia is just really kicking in here. I was talking about this with Joey and Austin. I was like, it feels like coming home. This book is such a strong first book to the series. But honestly, reading this has just been such a joy, and I'm so excited to continue. I do think the Medusa scene is really clever if you haven't read Percy Jackson. Basically, they're running from these monsters and they stumble upon this diner and they meet someone named Aunt M, and Aunt M is Medusa. We don't know, but there's these little hints because there's all these statues around them, these stone statues. I've just been loving those tidbits where we're getting some of the mythology and some of the lore behind some of the mythology and some of the Greek lore. It's really interesting, and I love how it's tied so well into the action of the series. So that's my update. I'm going to probably do one more update before the ending. Let's continue reading. Alrighty guys, final chunk of the book left. We are going to knock it out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And just like that, We're done. When I tell you I read this last chunk in one sitting, I'd be telling the truth because I cannot put this book down. The action is so well paced and the humor is so good and the characters just have so much growth at the end. And my thought is to pick up the next book that's on the floor and start reading it, but I do have to review this for you guys. But simply put, this is a 5-star book that I think is a must read for all ages. If you didn't read this in middle school, I think you should still read it. I did get the chance to write up my review, so let me tell you why I think this is a must read. Go on with what your heart tells you, or you will lose all. The Lightning Thief is popular for a reason. I mean, who wouldn't be on the edge of their seats as Percy Jackson attempts to stop an apocalyptic war between gods? I love this novel as an adult reader because Percy Jackson and his friends are the kind of characters you want to root for. You want to see these three succeed. Percy, Grover, and Annabeth, each with their own unique qualities, experience individual growth and come to realize important truths about themselves and their strengths by the end of the book. On top of these lovable and complex characters, Riordan illustrates hilarious action woven throughout their quest to recover magical items and defeat terrifying monsters. We must give Rick Riordan major credit for weaving Greek mythology seamlessly and tactfully into a middle grade novel. One thing I wasn't expecting to see was this middle grade novel taking on some very serious and real world issues such as alcoholism, gambling, addiction, and domestic violence. These are issues that need to be talked about, and I appreciate Riordan's bravery in tackling these issues with care for the reader. I also love how ADHD is described as a superpower in this novel. All kids reading this book, whether it's by their own volition or assigned material, will come to feel empowered by this story, which makes me so happy. This book didn't click with me the first time reading it, but giving this book a second chance, I come to understand how powerful the words of this story are and how effective Rick Riordan's writing style is. Percy Jackson may just be the perfect middle grade story. That's my review. This book really blew me away in terms of my opinion from this time reading it since the last time reading it. Now that I'm reading it as an adult, I can recognize how important it is that people read this book. One of the things that I always carry with me are my strengths and being confident in those strengths. And I think this book teaches the same lesson. If you haven't read this book for some reason, make sure to pick it up and read it. You don't need to read all 5 books, although after reading the first one, you will want to. But this book is short. I read it in about 48 hours. It's fast-paced, and it just shows substantial growth for these characters on top of this just wildly fantastic quest. But that is going to wrap up this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really sincerely hope you enjoyed me journeying through this experience again. Make sure to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and want to see more Percy Jackson content. Subscribe to our channel down below for more content about fantasy books and fantasy series. And comment down below your opinion on the Percy Jackson series. But that is going to wrap up this video. Thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day. Bye everyone!